My day really tomorrow revolves around one horse. That one horse is Shishkin.
In the Supreme Novices, obviously, tough competitive race. I side with Shishkin.
And then Chartry House. Elixir Dana is down at the second last, brought down Captain Guinness, and it's Asterion for launch leading to Abacadabras. Look in the maroon and white. All out and Chartry House and Shishkin, the Henderson trio giving chase to those. Edwardstone's moved into sixth. This is the last flight. Abacadabras and Davy Russell still sitting pretty. Shishkin has moved to challenge, is in second place. Chartry House is in third as they come to the last. Abacadabras by only a neck. Shishkin in second position, putting in a big challenge. These are clear from Chartry House. Abacadabras in the pressure of the closing stages. Shishkin being lifted over the far side by Nico de Boyville. It's very tight between them. Chartry House will be in third, then Asterion for launch, all out Edwardstone, and behind those was Heaven Allpress.
Oh, it had everything. The 2020 Supreme Novices, the best of the British, the best of the Irish, the pair clear. Shishkin.
With Epatante once again, you know, last year was a disappointment, but I'm gonna give her another chance.
From the rear in a pink jacket, they turn their heads for home a quarter mile to go. Want to jump in the champion hurdle. It's Darva Star in the centre who's come through the lead, but Epatante covers the move. Here's Sharjah down the near side, joining in the final flight. Epatante jumps to the front, goes on by a length from Darva Star. Sharjah now launching his challenge on the near side, halfway up the running. Epatante is in front, and she's not for catching. Driven out by Barry Geraghty. It's a birthday winner for JP McManus as Epatante shakes the champion hurdle, and it's a record-breaking festival success for Nicky Henderson. Sharjah was back in second, followed home in third by Darva Star, and in behind these the likes of Silver Streak, Petit Mouchoir and Sealos Emery, who were all fighting out the placings.
As mentioned, Honeysuckle is a pretty confident selection over Benny Deju. You know, many might disagree with that, but I'm pretty confident this mare's very, very good, and she'll take all the beating.
Stormy Island then, heading down towards the second last. Nobody's yet to take her on. Hellfire has moved through into second place, Honeysuckle in third, Benny Dejeur behind those, then Lady Buttons and Roxana at the second last. Stormy Island, she still holds the lead. Now on the left, Benny Dejeur in the pink jacket, produced with a challenge from Elfile. Honeysuckle just in behind those. Roxana is still running on as well. They move into the home straight, and Honeysuckle now nips through with Rachel Blackmore against the inside running rail. Benny Dejeur on the left. These two good mares, it's going to be between them as they race down to the last. Honeysuckle has the advantage though. She leads, she's 2 lengths ahead. Benny Dejeur in second. Honeysuckle a massive leap at the last, but a great leap from Benny Dejeur as well. Honeysuckle is in front, the far side. Nearest to us is Benny Dejeur, who is inching closer, running towards the line. Honeysuckle is in front, she's trying to fend off the challenge, and she's done it. Honeysuckle remains unbeaten. Benny Dejeur in second, Elfile in third, then Roxana, Stormy Island and Cap Soleil.
Oh, they delivered, didn't they? They really did. Honeysuckle has beaten Benny Dejeur.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Reprieve Media CIC double handful coverage of the 2021 Cheltenham Festival. I'm Paul Newman. Before we get going, let me just explain what's happening this year. What we've done is myself and Stephen Allpress we've not really talked together, but what we have done is we've pre-recorded some segments about the races that we fancy and the horses that we're looking at over the next week or so. And I'm going to sit here and hopefully edit them together in a way that people might not be able to tell that we've done that, if that makes any sense. So without further ado, we're going to start looking. Obviously, it's a funny old festival this year. I mean, people only need to look at the runners to see that, the lack of them. The prize money is considerably lower than past years for some reason. Can't see why that is. And obviously, the massive thing is that there is no crowd. I mean, that to me is a massive red flag. These are premier athletes we're talking, premier equine talent. And there's something in the back of my mind that thinks they would perform better with the roar of the crowd. It's been on my mind really since all this nonsense started. And I think if people look at some of the results that they've seen and the way some of these races have been run, I think it's borne out in the evidence. I'm thinking really of the Derby. I'm thinking of Silver Street beating Epatante at Christmas. I'm thinking of Altior losing to Nube Negra. I mean, to me, I might be 100% wrong. I don't think that would have happened in front of a full house, any of them races, in that way. So we're gonna crack on anyway, but that's always going to be at the back of my mind when I'm looking at my personal selections. I think it's only fair to let you all know that. We're going to kick off day 2 with a look at the first race, the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. And it's over to Steve Allpress to get things underway. Steve, firstly, may I take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time to put together these segments? And over to you.
Right then, we'll go on to Wednesday, day 2 of the Cheltenham Festival. And we'll start off with the Grade 1 Ballymore Novices Hurdle over 2.5 miles. Like yesterday, this is a small field but very select to say the least. We've got 3 horses in here in the shape of Brave Man's Game for Paul Nicholls, Bob Ollinger for Henry de Bromhead, and Gaillard de Menil for Willie Mullins. All 3 of these horses come into Wednesday's race with very strong form lines, and at least one of these could go on to do great things further down the line. So it's not just about Wednesday's race for these horses. There's going to be a lot of races to be won later on in their careers, but this is probably a stepping stone for these 3 horses to go down stay and chasing route later on in their careers. But as regards to Wednesday's race, I find it pretty difficult to pick between the 3 of them, if I'm being brutally honest. Brave Man's Game and Bob Ollinger, probably of the 3, have the strongest form, but I wouldn't write off the Willie Mullins horse by no means, because he is a talent in his own right. But Brave Man's Game first took my eye at Newbury a couple of runs ago. He looks for a novice, he looks such a professional horse. He jumped beautifully, he quickens well, he's got a good temperament. And I then watched him at Newbury just over Christmas time in the Shallow Hurdle. And bear in mind, Shallow Hurdle winners do not have a good record in this Ballymore Novices Hurdle. But stats are there to be defied, and he won't know that negative stat going into the race. And he'll be a horse that is really well suited by this Cheltenham galloping track. And he for me is going to be a big player in this race. Bob Ollinger, he's a horse as well. Huge talent with lots of potential. He was runner-up on his seasonal debut against last year's champion bumper winner Fernie Hollow right at the beginning of the season, but he's since then gone on to win 2 races, one at Navan and most recently at Naas. And he's a lovely horse with a lovely temperament. He jumps and stays well, and that will certainly benefit him in Wednesday's race. Gaillard de Menil, he's a horse that come on the scene at Christmas time, and then he went on to the Leopardstown Dublin Festival just last month, and over a little bit further than Wednesday's trip, and he stayed on very strongly, and he's going to be a major player. And I'd imagine the further he goes, the better he'll be. So, there's 3 horses here that they all have outstanding chances, and I wouldn't put anybody off siding with any of these. However, I'm here to make a selection, and I'm going to select Brave Man's Game just ahead of Bob Ollinger. I just like the way he's gone about his business in his last couple of runs, and I know connections hold him in such high regard. I don't remember, there'll be a lot of you out there that heard of the horse Denman from many years ago. Won the Gold Cup and 2 Hennessy Gold Cups. He was an outstanding horse, and he was around the era of the Court Star, and they kind of, connections hold this Brave Man's Game in similar mould to Denman. And for me, hearing that come out of their mouths, you know, how can you not, you know, kind of side with this horse? So for me, I'm going to go for Brave Man's Game. It's more hopeful rather than confident, but win, lose or draw, I'm pretty sure he's going to run a big race. So yeah, my selection for the Ballymore Novices Hurdle, the opening race on day 2, is Brave Man's Game for Paul Nicholls and Harry Cobden.
Fantastic, Steve. Thank you very much for that preview of the first race on day 2 of the 2021 Cheltenham Festival, the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. To me, I was a bit disappointed with the race, if I'm honest, sir, especially with there only being 7 runners. I mean, you're only getting people looking to have a go on the race, you're only getting the first 2 places. It's a tricky race, this. You know, I've looked at them quickly because none of them really impressed me on the pedigree. Bob Ollinger, obviously, as you said, solid form to the table from Ireland. There is some lightly raced black type performing mares in his pedigree, you know, that might indicate something going forward. But this could be the start of something with this line, is what I'm saying, I suppose. The second dam is a half-sister to the Grade 1 winning Novice Chase of the Railwayman. You know, that one has an obvious chance. Gaillard de Menil impressed me last time out, I must say, visually. Very strong traveller. That was the Group 1 race that he won that day. He's got pattern race form in France also, you know. He's a good horse. Interesting horse moving forward. Brave Man's Game. Group 1 winning UK form to the table here. He looks to have an obvious chance on the form book as well. But again, with them 2 horses, there's not really much in the pedigree at all of them that I spotted. Bear Gills is an unbeaten horse over hurdles, but he looks to have plenty to find on the form. And I had a quick look through his pedigree to the first 3 dams, and there's not much in his pedigree really to suggest he can find what he needs, in my view. Hescon Risk, for me, could be the most interesting one really at the prices. But again, you're getting the first 2 places only. It's lightly raced. It's only its third start over hurdles. It's second behind Appreciate It, the Supreme Novice Hurdle favourite on its last start. It's actually half brother to a Grade 2 winning hurdler that Paul Nicholls has got. It's chasing this year, called Gran Sansi. Could be interesting. Does he know? To me, that's lost its way somewhat. It won a week looking at the time, I thought. Cheltenham Grade 2 in November. Since then, he was taken out of the race when he tried to Group 1 company and has been beaten in a handicap. So he's not really got the sort of profile I'll be looking at to win this race. Optimised Prime. He's won 2 novice hurdles, but he was beaten on his first start at Pattern Company at a listed level last time. And the conditions of this race and just looks very tough for him. If I had to nail my colours to one of them, I guess I'd pick Hescon Risk. You know, I'm loath to bet favourites in these sort of races because I know how hard these races are to win. But Bob Ollinger does look solid in what looks an average race, to say the least, for the grade. But especially if Appreciate It was to run well in the Supreme Novices Hurdle on Tuesday, I think Hescon Risk won't be without his supporters. So I'll side with that one, a very tentative each way selection. Now we're going to move on to the second race of the day, which is the Stay-In Novices Chase, formerly known as the RSA, for future Gold Cup horses, hopefully. And Steve is going to set a strong pace as he looks at this race. Steve, over to you.
Right then, we'll move on to race 2 on day 2, which is the Brown Advisory Novices Chase, ran over 3 miles, formerly known as the RSA Chase. All eyes in this race will be on Monkfish, trained by Willie Mullins. Monkfish was last year's Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle winner. He was a very raw horse last season, and I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. He's gone chasing this year, and he kicked off his campaign at the beginning of December, where he won very impressively. But since then, he's gone on to win Grade 1 races, the most recently being at the Dublin Racing Festival against a horse of Paul Nolan's called Latest Exhibition. And that day, he ran away with him. He led all the way. He went out and made his own running. He jumped from fence to fence beautifully. He was in a lovely rhythm, and he quickened away up the straight. On all known form, Monkfish is going to take a hell of a lot of beating. Not only do I think Monkfish will win this race on Wednesday, I think this is the horse that we've got to look at as the future Gold Cup winner. He's got that mixture of kind of that race pace you need, that tactical speed. He jumps beautifully, and he's got that stamina, that lovely stamina you need to win races like the RSA Chase and the Gold Cup. So anybody looking to go with Monkfish, I certainly wouldn't put you off him. Yes, he's a very short price. He's a very, very short price. And a lot of people will be looking to swerve him just because of the price alone. But in my opinion, I can only give my opinion here. If you're looking not to back Monkfish because of the price, personally, I'll just leave the race alone and watch it and admire. But next year could be a massive year for this horse. You know, he's got business to attend to first tomorrow, or on Wednesday, shall I say. But next year, this horse could be the Gold Cup winner. So just keep your eyes peeled with this one. So obviously there, my selection for race 2 on day 2 is Monkfish. However, I'll just give you my thought on a couple of other horses in the race in case that does interest you. Big Breakaway, trained by Colin Tizard. He's a lovely big scopy horse. Always looked like he was going to be a chaser. Very impressive at Cheltenham on his seasonal debut. However, he's since got beat at Exeter and then went on to run at Kempton, where he was runner-up to Chamblou from the Dan Skelton yard. He's a horse that's high in the betting for Thursday's Marsh Novices Chase. But that day, the Big Breakaway didn't jump fluently, not as well as we've seen him do at Cheltenham a couple of runs prior to that. But I think back on a left-handed, more galloping track, I do think he'll be more at home here. And anybody looking for an each-way bet rather than a win bet, I would say Big Breakaway is a horse maybe to side with. The Colin Tizard yard haven't been in great form this season, so you're obviously taking that chance. But the horse is certainly half decent, to say the least. I can't see him winning, to be honest, but I can see him certainly, maybe being the horse to follow Monkfish home. So anyway, that sums up race 2. Monkfish is my selection. Very confident selection. Thank you.
Well, all I'm going to say about that ending there is I've known Mr. Allpress quite a long time. And I can tell by that ending that he likes this horse and he is very confident. Let's just leave it at that. Fantastic, Steve. Thank you very much. RSA Chase, as you say, is always a fantastic pointer to the Cheltenham Gold Cup. And this year, like you also say, we could have a horse in this race that really is going to make his mark in the future. That horse, obviously, is Monkfish, the dominant staying chaser in Ireland. What form it has got. It just seems to be improving as well, which is the awesome thing about the horse. It was winning earlier in the season, but last time out, it was absolutely dominating and from start to finish. Great to see a chaser do that. Pedigree of the horse. Well, the second dam, Martinic, was actually a runner-up in the 1994 RSA Chase behind Monsieur Le Cure. Funny how these things work out, isn't it? A tough nut to crack, really, the Monkfish in this race. The Big Breakaway. To me, I just don't like the horse. There's a few Tizard horses that I don't like. They just look slow. They're big, cumbersome horses. You know, they look as though they want 6 miles. That's not meant in a derogatory term. Stamina is an admirable asset in a horse. You know, they look like they try. They just look like they just get a bit outpaced over 3.5 miles, even at crucial times. I can name 3 or 4 like it. Lost in Translation is another one. Don't know what it is. It's just the way I look at races. It must be. It's got good form. It's 4th behind Envol Allen in last year's Ballymore Novices Hurdle. You know, and it's half brother to a Grade 3 winning chaser, Kildesart. That's a Munir horse trained by Ben Pauling. To me, it's just got a lot of question marks. Eclat de Rire is another Irish horse. I mean, if people look at the form of this one, they will see that it's a very progressive horse. It's improving from start to start to start, which indicates to me that we have not seen the best of this horse yet, in no shape or form. I'm not saying it's going to run up to the level of Monkfish, but you can't say it's not, if that makes any sense. It's a Grade 3 last start. Off it went in front. They never really liked catching it. It jumped well, but it never pulled away. It was just a solid win. It's half brother to a listed winning hurdler, Damalisk, that was very impressive in a handicap hurdle not long ago in Ireland. They look to have a couple of nice horses there. That's a JP McManus horse, Damalisk. Both out of a Grade 1 5th listed placed hurdle in Dam called Rochdale. She's a half sister to a Grade 2 placed chaser called Umiyad. And also a horse that Paul Nichols used to have back in the day. Grade 1 place, Grade 2 winning hurdler, and a Grade 3 winning chaser, Ladolko, big old Ladolko. I think he used to run in the Scottish National, I think. Listed winning chaser, Saying Again, and a listed place chaser, Nasora. That is the dam of a Grade 2 and Grade 3 winning chaser, and a listed winning hurdler, Durasso, and a listed place chaser, Eurasian. They're all out of a 4-time, although it never raced at pattern level, winning second dam. The third dam won 10 races out of 33 in France, and it never raced at pattern level, which isn't unusual for them horses when you go back to the 70s and 80s in France. Not entirely sure there was a pattern for these horses in them days. And similar things happen when you look at 1960s mares in America. You know, the pattern in America for fillies didn't really start until the 70s. You see horses that have won, say, 18 out of 20 races, and they're not even group winners. But enough of that. Eclat de Rire, to me, has a great chance here of at least running an honourable race. It's hard to say it's has a great chance of beating the favourite. But I can see why they've backed it in this race, you know, because it's a well-bred horse. Well-bred, progressive young horse, lightly raced. You know, dangerous to those backing the favourite. Very dangerous horse. Sporting John, 7th in the Ballymore last year. You know, again, Ballymore chucking up winners. Whether it will this year will remains to be seen next year. I was impressed with it at Sandown. It just looked like it was just plodding around at its own time. The rest of it got tired, and he was the last left, and it won. Grade 1. Just outstayed them. Whether they went too fast or it was just a superior horse on the day, but I thought it won fairly well. The dam of it is a half-sister to the dam of Grade 1 and Grade 2 winning chaser and dual Grade 1 and dual Grade 2 winning hurdler Oscar Whiskey. You know, this is a horse, a Grand National horse. Sporting John. I mean, it's JP McManus owned. I don't know whether it's named after him. I wouldn't dare to even know that for a fact. Champ is obviously on record as being named after AP McCoy. I've never seen any record who this horse is named after. But it's a sporting effort to take on the favourite with a reasonably good, well-bred horse with good form. From a professional gambler, make of that what you will. JP has actually got 2 horses in the race. Dicky Diver is the other. It's only on its second chase start. It's a maiden. Never won in a chase. The second dam is a half-sister to a dual Grade 1 winning chaser, Mary Gale. It's won 9 or 10 pattern races, that one. You know, back in the day. To me, it looks a bit out of its depth here. Fiddler on the Roof is a Grade 1 winning hurdler last year that, to me, is running. If people look at his form, they will see that he hasn't improved one jot for the big obstacles, which is rare because hurdles are there really to introduce horses to fences. unless they're top class hurdlers, and then they will go for hurdles. But it's not a pyramid. It's just a learning curve for them. You know, you'd expect a 150 rated hurdler, which Fiddler on the Roof was, to at least be a 163, 64 rated chaser. But it just doesn't happen for him. You know, it just doesn't happen for him at all. And there's not really a lot in the pedigree that indicate to me that he's in for an upturn in form, really. Tough one for him, this one, Fiddler. Don't fancy it. What do I fancy in the race? Well, Eclat de Rire in a normal race, I'll be getting quite excited about this one. But it's got Monkfish to beat. But I'm going to make it my selection in the race each way. Eclat de Rire, only 6 runners, so you're only getting 2 places. But I don't like to encourage gambling. But there's little features that certain firms that I don't name do, called Each Way Edge and things like that, where they give you an extra place. And I think if people were to look at Eclat de Rire 3 places, I don't know what price he is because I don't look at them firms anymore. But I don't know whether I fancy him to finish second in a 6-runner race as much as I would do to finish in the first 3 in an 8-runner race. It's a totally different ball game to me. That I don't like backing each way in a 6-runner race, no matter what the price is, really. But Eclat de Rire to me is a well-bred horse taking on some nice horses. You know, the questions I'm asking really, it's a tough race because I can make a case for half the field, 3 of the 6 of them. I don't fancy the big breakaway one bit, if I'm honest. So that's my theory on the race. We're gonna move on now to the feature race of the day, the Grade 1 Champion Chase, the flagship 2-mile race of the season. And I know he's a great fan of these races. So it's over to Steve Allpress to set the scene. Steve, over to you.
Right, we'll go on to race 4 on day 2, which is the Grade 1 Queen Mother Champion Chase over 2 miles. Just to inform those who don't already know, Altior has unfortunately withdrawn from this race in the last 24 hours. He didn't scope well and unfortunately won't be taking his chance. Obviously, we know he's had well-documented problems in the last 12 to 15 months, and it appears those problems are still with him. Unfortunately for him, we might have seen him run had his best days now, unfortunately, but he's a horse that, many race fans will certainly appreciate what he's done for the sport over the years. He's been a great champion, but unfortunately it's not to be for him on this occasion. But the show obviously goes on. Looking into the race, we still have a fairly decent field here, and we'll start off with the high quality, the apple of Willie Mullins' eye, Chacun Pour Soi. He's another horse actually that's had some well-documented issues in the past. He actually missed last year's festival due to a problem on the morning of the race, which was very unfortunate, as he was going into that race in top form, and they've had to wait 12 months to get him here again, and hopefully he'll make it to the start line this time. Regarding his chance, he's going in with a solid chance. He's the best horse in the race on current form. Obviously, he's had 3 runs this season. He had a low-key seasonal debut, which was just a pipe opener, but he's since gone to Leopardstown, and again, a little bit like last season, very, very impressive. He's done nothing wrong. He's a horse that appreciates probably a softer surface. I don't think it'll be too bad for him on Wednesday. It may not be as soft as he's been running on, but I think the ground will be nice enough to not inconvenience him, that's for sure. So yeah, he's going to go in with a big chance here, and I know Connections really rate him highly, and I think they'll be very disappointed if he wasn't to win. Of the others, looking at them, there's a few you could probably mark up as each way chances. I'll go with Nube Negra from the Dan Skelton stable. He's a horse also. He might have had a few issues in the past. He's very lightly raced. He was runner-up in last year's Kingmaker at Warwick, and then he didn't go to Cheltenham. This year he's had the one run over Christmas. He was very impressive when beating Altior by 3.5 lengths, and Connections have decided to leave him alone since then, and he's going to turn up for Wednesday's race very fresh, and I know Connections feel that is the key to the horse, running him fresh. So being lightly raced is probably what this horse needs. I certainly think he's going to be an each way player in this race. And, you know, if Chacun Poursoir isn't on his game, maybe this is the horse to capitalise on him. Of the others, there's, you know, a couple that you could look at. Rouge Vif, he's a horse that looked very good in a handicap earlier on in the season. And, you know, he hasn't had his ground since, but when he gets the quicker surface, that's when you'll see him at his best. So Royal, he's another horse that's had mixed campaign over hurdles and chases. He's a horse that brings in a fair amount of ability. He might not be one you'd think would win the race, but he's certainly one that you could see running into a place. He's been placed in the race before behind Altior, and any drying ground between now and Wednesday will certainly benefit his chance. Of the others, you got last year's winner, Politolog. You know, he's a horse as well. He's a very good horse. He might not be, is a little bit unfair to say maybe, but I wouldn't say he's a great horse, but he's certainly a good horse. And, you know, he was runner-up last time, maybe a little bit disappointing, but, you know, he's a horse back at the place where he won 12 months ago. He'll certainly be one that you could also see, you know, running a fair race. So, yeah, I think that sums up the Champion Chase. My selection is obviously the Willie Mullins change, Chacun Poursoir, but my each way alternative would be Newbury Negra from the Dan Skelton yard. Those are two horses I've had on my shortlist since the beginning of the season, and nothing's changed my mind up to now. So we're going to stick with those. Those are the selections for the Queen Mother Champion Chase.
Fantastic, Steve. Thank you very much, as always, for previewing the feature race of day 2 of the 2021 Cheltenham Festival, the Champion Chase. Well, yes, it is really a massive shame that Altior isn't taking part this year, because for once, even though you could argue maybe that his form was on the slide, he was at least a price that people could get involved with him and enjoy him a bit. And whether he won or not, really, you know, it'd have been nice to give him a little swan song. Have we seen the last of him? More than the best of him? Time will tell. Right, on to what is running in the race. What I feel is an interesting race more than an outstanding race, I would think. You have to start with the favourite, Chacun Poursoir, the Irish Raider, who obviously brings top form to the table. One thing that puts me off with that one, though, it's unproven at Cheltenham, and I think that's important. Obviously, if he handles the course, a massive chance. Nube Negra has come from nowhere, really. It seemed to have been put in its place last year in novice chases, but it's raced once this year, and it won the Desert Orchid Chase, beating Altior and others. You could not knock that performance. And if it can repeat that, then it's going to be bang there. Last year's winner, Arkle winner, Put the Kettle On, has had a lightly raced campaign, really, I think, for an Arkle horse. Only raced twice. It was beaten behind Chacun Poursoir last time. The pedigree of it, though, is quite good. It's a useful pedigree, Juddmonte pedigree on the flat, really. And the second dam is a half-sister to a horse that was second in the Prix d'Ispahan, and it won the Sundown Mile, and it was a sire in Italy, really, called Wixim. Paul Nicholls trained Politolog, really, is a solid yardstick at this level. He's won a multitude of Group 1 and Group 2 races. It's a solid proposition, but one thing I will say, that I've noticed that he's drifted to quite an alarmingly big price. So whether there's not much confidence behind him or not, you know, I'd have to be careful with that one, I think. First Flow, that stormed to victory last time over the above-mentioned Politolog on his first start at Grade 1 company. And if he can turn that performance in again, then he is right there. A lot of these this is a division that's been dominated by one horse for a while, and with this one horse not running this year, it's an interesting race. The Dam of First Flow is a half-sister to the 2001 Maggle Chase novice winner at Aintree called Ballinclay King. So you can sort of see how they've done that. Kielos Emery, the Willie Mullins runner, is a useful dual-purpose horse. It ran in last year's Champion Hurdle. And to me, I think the form of it leaves it with a little bit to find. Sco Royal, I've got him down as a bit of a bridesmaid in races like this. He normally, when he runs an honourable race, normally finds one, if not more, too good. Although last time he did beat Champ, although Champ obviously wants a lot further, as we will hopefully see later on in the week. And that's not bad form. That could prove to be one of his better runs, I think. So he goes there in good heart, I think. Notebook, the Gigginstown stud horse, has been a bit of a disappointment to me, really. He was exposed, in my view, a little bit when he ran sort of no race at all in the Arkle last year. And that, to me, raises alarms that he's another one that might not be at home around this track. He'd have it all to show for me. Rouge Vif is a horse I think that's been quite unlucky with the ground this year. I mean, people only need to look at his form when he won at Cheltenham earlier in the season when the ground was anything approaching good. That they might have a horse here over 2 miles and 2.5 miles on decent ground. But the ground again on his big day looks to have gone against him and he's drifting in the market as a result of that. Greenatine, finally, last of all, the Paul Nicholls horse. It won the Holden Gold Cup earlier in the season, which marked him down as slightly progressive maybe. But he's been beaten by Politolog and Sco Royal on his last 2 starts. So it's hard to make a case for him, really. Of the runners, I think, really, this is a tough race to call. And I wouldn't like to put anybody on anything. At the prices, I will have a tentative selection on First Flow. It was hard not to be impressed with his victory last time out. And it's a competitive race, and you can take the favourite out. I'm not strong on the favourite in this race. He's got it all to prove to me at the prices. He could win easily, but not at them prices for me. So I will tentatively select First Flow each way. Right, we're on now to the home straight on day 2. And we're going to take a look at the last race of the card now. The Champion Bumper, a National Hunt flat race, no hurdles or fences. The first step on the ladder for these young National Hunt horses. And here's Steve with a look at some of the protagonists. Over to you, Steve.
Final race on the card for day 2 is the Weatherby's Champion Bumper, a National Hunt flat race over 2 miles. We have 2 horses at the head of the market here in Kilcrut and Sir Gerard. This on paper looks to be a match race, an eagerly anticipated match race between 2 high quality horses. One in Kilcrut from the Willie Mullins stable, and the other of which, Sir Gerard, formerly in the Gordon Elliott stable, but recently moved to the Denise Foster stable. And this is for many going to be one of the clashes of the week. Both horses have looked imperious this season. Sir Gerard started his campaign back in October with visually impressive victory at Down Royal. He's since gone on to win at Navan on testing conditions, but again looking very impressive in doing so. So he's coming into this race a fresh horse at the top of his game, and he's certainly going to be a horse that's on many people's lips for this race. The other Kilcrut, he's had a couple of starts this year. The first at Navan, again, he was impressive on the day, but he then went on to Leopardstown last time out, where he made a huge impression. I know a lot of professionals were there watching that day, and he certainly gave them the wow factor. I will just say it was on bottomless ground, and they did tend to go very quick throughout the race, and he seemed just to latch onto them as they swung into the straight, and he just breezed by them as if they were standing still. It's difficult to know whether the race just broke up and fell on his lap, shall I say, or whether it was just a real class performance by a class horse. But I guess we're going to find out, when they take their chance in this race. For me, of the two, I'm going to stick with my initial prediction from, a few months ago, and I'm going to go with Sir Gerard. I just think he's a real big, imposing horse with a lovely cruising speed, and I think the better ground might just suit him a little bit more than it would suit Kilcruit. I don't quite know how Kilcruit will operate on the sounder surface, but he was so good on that softer surface at Leopardstown. I kind of get the impression he might not be quite as good, but that's just like guesswork really. But yeah, I'm going for one of them, and I'm going to go for Sir Gerard in this match race. This is a race, obviously, I've already mentioned. It's going to have a lot of people's eyes peeled here. Not only is this a big race in itself, but these are also two novices for next season. Novice hurdlers, anywhere between 2 miles and 3 miles, and they're certainly, whatever they do in this race on Wednesday, they could go on to even surpass that later on in their careers. So this is certainly a watching brief, not just for Wednesday, but further down the line. But yes, my selection for the champion bumper is Sir Gerard for Willie Mullins, formerly with Gordon Elliott.
Fantastic, Steve. Thank you very much for looking at the National Hunt Flat Race, the last race on the card of day 2 of the 2021 Cheltenham Festival. To me, there's a good horse in here. We'll start at the top of the market. Kilcruit, where you had to be impressed with his run in its last start, the Irish Raider. And that one has to hold an obvious form chance on everyone's books, really. But the one I like has to be Sir Gerhard. It's unbeaten, the Cheveley Park-owned horse. It's got a top-class flat pedigree. The second dam, Jabba Abdullah horse, won the 2001 Group 3 Prix Calvados at Deauville. And she is a half-sister to a top-class Group 1 winner and sire, Zafine. It won at Royal Ascot one year. I think it won the St James's Palace. Could take some catching this one, I think. It's unbeaten, really. And is anybody surprised looking at that pedigree there? A tough nut to crack, surely, in this race. 3 Stripe Life is lightly raced. It's only had one start, which it won by 9 lengths. So it's not done anything wrong. And there's a few decent horses in the pedigree. It's a half-sister to a horse that was placed the other day in a Grade 3 hurdle in Ireland. It was behind Darren's Hope at Limerick, called Ballyshannon Rose. And the dam is also a half-sister to a US Grade 1 winning hurdler and a horse that was listed on the flat placed, called Hirapur. So you have to say that's not without hope moving forward from this race. Because as Steve said, that's what this race is about, really. Ramillies, he represents powerful connections, but he was well beaten by Kilcruit on his last start. The dam was decent. It's Grade 3 enlisted placed hurdler, but I don't know, I think that's got a bit to find. L.A. Bell is a UK performer that was dead heated in the dark in that infamous, really, Cheltenham bumper. But that's even though that was a listed win. They look to have plenty to find with the Irish runners, the UK runners. The dam is a full sister to a Group 2 placed novice hurdler called Carlitos. Grand G, the Willie Mullins horse, was sent to Market Raisin to take on the Pam Sly horse, Eileen Dover at pattern level. That was Eileen, obviously, put her in her place there. She's since got back on the winning thread by winning by a neck, but to me, some look stronger than her on the day. The same can be said, I think, about Chemical Energy. That was another one that was behind Kilcruit on its last start. I like to move it. The UK form is decent again, but it's a fair way behind. I will emphasise that again. And it looks up against it as a consequence of that. The same, I would say, of Super 6. The UK form is not really there this year. Wonderwall could be an interesting UK horse, I think, because that actually has got a decent horse in its pedigree. You know, the Dam is a half-sister to Riverside Theatre, top-class 2-mile chaser. So at the prices, I don't know, that's an interesting one to me. Cool Jet looks to have plenty to find on form. But again, the Dam is a half-sister to a horse that's won this race. Group 1 bumper winner, Cousin Vinny. People might remember that one winning this race. Shearer, the UK form, again, I don't think is up against it, really, in this race. And the rest, as for the rest, I think I can't really make a case for either of the final 3 runners. But to me, this race revolves around Sir Gerhard. I mean, his pedigree is top class. It's a flat race. There's no hurdles to get in his way. And I think he'll probably take all the beating. But he's relatively short, and at a price, I will suggest Wonderwall, I think, just to see how he gets on. After all, you never know. All right, that's my look at the Cheltenham bumper. We're going to move on to some selections now. We're going to go over to Steve Allpress, who's going to recap his selections quickly for the second day of the 2021 Cheltenham Festival. Thank you very much for listening, everybody, and all the best.
So then, that's my thoughts and selections for day 2 of the Cheltenham Festival. I'll just run through them again for those who missed any of it. The Ballymore Hurdle, the Ballymore Novices Hurdle, we're going to go for Brave Man's Game. But Bob Ollinger would be an alternative. In the Brown Advisory Novices Chase, formerly known as the RSA Chase, we're going to go with Monkfish. In the Queen Mother Champion Chase, we're going to go for Chacun Pour Soi with Nube Negra as an alternative each way selection. And in the Weatherby's Champion Bumper, the final race on day 2, we're going to go for Sir Gerhard. Good luck to everybody, and thank you for your time.
Fantastic, Steve. Thank you very much. Some outstanding selections on what is looking to be an interesting day's racing day 2, I think. There's not many, apart from Monkfish, there's not many that jump off the page today. And it'll be interesting to see what the outcomes are of some of these races, I think. My selections are as follows. In the first race, the Ballymore, I wasn't really impressed enough with any of them. I have high standards in that race. I've had City Leader from that race. I've had Champ from that race. And to me, there wasn't enough in any of the pedigrees for me to move forward with any of them, disappointingly. In the 155, I'd quite like Sporting John moving forward as well for long-distance chases. But I'm going to chance each way in the 6-runner race, silly though it may sound, although maybe others can get better in other places, is Eclat de Rire. I don't think it's done anything wrong. And I'm just looking forward to see where it stands in relation to Monkfish. We'll find out tomorrow. In the 305, the Champion Chase, I'm going to chance a small, very tentative selection on First Flow, I think. And in the cross-country chase, I'm not really bothered with this race ever, really. But I noticed when I looked at a horse that I've started to follow, a novice hurdler, a Gigginstown hurdler, that fell a bit short, really, called a Lieutenant Command. The horse in there called Some Neck. And I did remember it. It's ex-Willie Mullins' horse, Richie horse. And it's won at the cross-country meeting before. It's won at the course before. The Dam is a half-sister to Jukebox Jury. It's a stallion, Jukebox Jury. You know, he's a nice horse. There's other horses in there as well. Group 2, Group 3 enlisted placed Hurricane Higgins. Group 2 and Group 3 placed listed winners. Some nice horses in there. You know, the Group 3, dual Group 3 winner, Bella Lure. She's the Dam of a dual Japanese Group 1 listed and triple stakes winner, Admire Lead. You know, some nice horses from around the world here. You know, Tropical. Template Tropical is a half-sister to the Dam, and she is the Dam of Grade B placed, Grade C winning hurdler, Call Me Bubbles. You know, this goes back a fair few years, this pedigree. The third Dam was Grade 1 and Grade 2 placed, Fiery Boreal. Herself a half-sister to Group 1 and Group 3 winner and sire, Soleil Noir. You know, there's nice horses in this pedigree. Also a half-sister to the once raced Nouvelle Lune, the third Dam, is a Dam, and she herself, Nouvelle Lune, is the Dam of Grade 2, Triple Grade 3 enlisted place hurdler, Solarius. You know, nice horses in there. The fourth Dam, Skelder, was a dual grade Group 3 winning fourth Dam. And she herself is related to a stallion, a Grade 1, Grade 2 and Grade 3 winner and sire, called Lightning. You know, it's going around in a cross-country chase tomorrow. So I will probably have an each-way go on that one as well. But my selection of the day tomorrow, without any doubt, will be in the last race, and that will be Sir Gerhard in the bumper. What a pedigree that horse has got. I'm looking forward to see if it can live up to it over the obstacles. Be interesting to see what they do with the horse. Being a flat breeding operation, they must know what they have there. So without further ado, we're going to wrap up day 2 now. May I just take this opportunity to thank Steve Allpress for taking the time to compile the segments for this show. It's very much appreciated as always. And we hope to be back for the final 2 days of the Cheltenham Festival over the next coming days. Thank you very much for listening, everybody, and all the best.